I hope everybody had a chance to get a bite to eat and a bit of brain food, and you made some time to have a human connection with each other. Welcome to our AI demo. So every startup that is chosen will have about 10 minutes to do their presentation. The first question will go out to the VC panel, and then we'll have one question that goes out to the audience. With AI being such a topic of focus, it makes sense to showcase these companies that are not only riding the trend, but they'll also be disrupting it. I had the pleasure of supporting Fabian in screening the startups, and now I'm happy to announce our final 6 presentations. Congrats to the teams, and thanks for joining us at the conference on the singularity mindset and a deep adventure into the future. So, without further ado, our first startup, besides having a phenomenal football team, Barcelona for me feels like a Spanish Berlin because of their diverse culture, transformational, fast-growing technology sector, and lively, innovative startup community. Similar to Berlin's international ecosystem, you can actually move to the city without speaking, well, for them, their 2 local languages. I warmly introduce our first presentation and kickoff for our AI demo. We have Catalonia-based entrepreneurs, Gestoos, to explain how they're redefining human interaction through intelligent vision technology.
So I guess you all remember this film, Tom Cruise using Minority Report. It's very well known. Steven Spielberg's vision was built by my former boss, John Underkoffler. I was the former director of Oblong, the company that built the software for Minority Report. And Steven Spielberg gathered a bunch of scientists, and they agreed that in the future, machines will be able to see and understand human behavior. But this is something incredibly difficult. Human behavior is complex. It has so many different layers. It has senses and touches. So we decided to focus on one specific problem, to try to understand those micro gestures that give you, the opportunity to interact with the real world. My name is Germán León. I'm the CEO of Gestoos. And we're the company that built that software that allows people and machines to understand human behavior and let them interact. As you can see in this video, these are some of the presentations and actual applications in the marketplace that very futuristic and interesting companies in digital signage, automotive, and consumer electronics are using today. But it wasn't all easy. We faced a lot of issues and problems. So the first issue that we had was companies were not ready to understand or use artificial intelligence in this space. If you wanted to understand the problem a little bit better, current approaches of using deep learning, let's say I skip one slide because time's running by. You're a company, you want to create a new audio experience. You have a current approach where you need tons and tons of data to be able to do that. And there's the problem, which is you need fast product iteration. Companies don't have the data today to be changing things on an ongoing basis. And the problem gets worse. The current approach of deep learning means that you need to get that behavior, find thousands of data sets, model the data, and then get to that level of accuracy. So what happens is that if I wanted to create that audio experience, this approach would not let me do that fast product iteration. And then it will be too long time for me to change the product and put it into the marketplace. So it was financially and economically unviable. So what did we have to do? We had to create a unique method with only 5 users, 10 samples each, to be able to build a base model that we can put into cameras, sensors, screens, and it has to have 90% of robustness so that customers out there will be able to use it. And then we deploy live all these installations, and we gathered that live data, and now we're able to understand and see what users are actually doing. So the science team can change the products. And in that same way, with a semi-supervised method, they can influence the design. So if I wanted this gesture to increase volume and this gesture to lower volume, but users don't really get that, and they're doing this and that, I can quickly change that product live in the marketplace without having to go and collect new data and do many, many other things. And all of that gives us updated models, which allows us to use it for multiple verticals and multiple segments, meaning that very rich data set, which is live from the different bullet points of the different segments, are building better robustness. This is our time to data. We started with the hardest and most difficult use case, which is digital signage. Tons of people with multiple hands interacting at the same time in malls, in stores, in buses, in any place, in any location. And we're able to see multiple hands interacting at the same time. Today, if you go to Barcelona, and if you're a fan of the Football Club Barcelona, we're from Barcelona, clearly, you could see a very large video wall that can take up to 40 people interacting at the same time. It's recognizing you, it's recognizing your hands, and it's allowing you to interact with that. What is the base of what I just said? What is the breakthrough right here? We start with a base model, only 5 users, 10 samples. This in artificial intelligence is very novel. We can deploy the model locally into the device. The device learns itself with live data, and then distributed this model to multiple products around the world, different verticals, and that robustness goes across different sectors. I'm sorry. As you can see, I'm actually controlling this presentation. And the key thing here, from a business point of view, is time to application is short and is economically viable. So we can change, in a matter of minutes, an interaction. We can create something magical for users to see and understand that product. And this is why we're having success in the marketplace. The opportunity goes beyond digital signage. We're just scratching the surface. We just signed a fantastic deal with a very large brand that I cannot mention, unfortunately. And some of the brands that you see here, I'm not supposed to tell you about it, but this is a small gathering, and it's not going to get out of here. We've learned that this is a great opportunity. The market is ready for this type of technology. Everybody wants to understand how humans behave in an anonymized manner, and that's the key aspect of our technology. We see you, but we don't know who you are, and we don't care. Because at the end of the day, what we want to identify is all these different humans interacting with technology. Ogilvy bought into that concept, and they're reselling Gestoos into the marketplace for all their brands. Cisco has chosen us to be their solutions partner for entering a lot of different proposals and businesses around worldwide. And we are right now dealing a very large installation with 1,500 licenses. That means 1,500 stores that is going to get to 16,000 by the end of 2018, allowing us to reach millions of data points. We closed last year in 520K. This year, we're roughly going to get into 1.3 million in bookings. But this is just the beginning, as I said. We have one of the best teams for delivering. We have a great combination of business, design, and technology. We're located both in Barcelona and San Francisco. And we come from various areas that complete our team very well to execute on this strategy. So, if you're interested in experiencing the power of Gestoos, come and try our demo and see what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Thank you, Germain. I'm going to put the first question out for our VC panel. Do we have any VCs that have a question about the technology or the business concept behind Gestoos? Yes, George? Yeah, go ahead and what's the question?
About the underlying hardware requirements, like what hardware are you developing on and how can you scale them?
We are hardware agnostic. We worked in different hardware platforms, Windows, Linux embedded. Our core code is C++, and we're working directly with camera manufacturers, particularly in the space of depth sensors and dual cameras that require depth. For certain use cases, for instance, in car, you need infrared because at night you need to be able to see the people. So our software uses so little data that it's embeddable, and that's the key aspect for firmware in general for all the camera suppliers.
Second question, can you explain how your license agreements work?
Yeah.
Just so the audience can understand the questions, so he asked to explain how the licensing agreements would work using Gestoos.
We have two models. The model for digital signage at the moment works based on volumes and number of interactions per screen. So if you have a screen in a shop that has 5,000 people going by and you want to have a short drag and drop interaction from a screen into your mobile phone, that's roughly that's a 30 euro a month per point. And when we talk about large deals like in the automotive, we're talking about per unit, per camera, and this goes on the millions batches. It's a royalty model.
Okay. Do we have an audience question? Probably just for the future questions, maybe a microphone would be helpful so that we can give it out to the audience. Okay. You're just used to, I'm just curious, so you guys started in Barcelona. Would you say that this is already very receptive there? I mean, I like the city itself. I think it's amazing. It's by the beach. But also, I see that you guys have the diagonal area and a lot of technology growing there so fast. And honestly, you guys have so much food and fashion and a lot of business models that would really suit this kind of advertising platform. Are you looking to kind of just grow it maybe in Spain and then Europe and then go over, or just launch it kind of more globally?
No, we identified that our markets operate quite differently. So we're starting in Europe. You're using Barcelona as our headquarters for research and R&D. Particularly in Europe, retail is huge. It's a great market, and we feel that we can actually develop it here. But for consumer electronics, we open an office in San Francisco, and we have a completely different operation, even a different licensing model there, because the markets are very, very specific. So we're not trying to reach everybody because it's impossible. As a platform, you need to pick a vertical and go straight into it. And our strategy is based on the data that we can get. So for now, large sets of data are in stores, malls, areas that has a lot of retail, and that's why Europe is for us our focus.
Great. Thank you for joining us today in Berlin.
Thank you.
So we opened up the demo with a hardware startup, and now the next 4 startups are going to be from Berlin, so local startups and software. German technology likes innovation the way it likes its cars, fast and efficient. From our hip and urban streets style streets of Berlin, this next startup will drive us onto the Autobahn of the future with Chris. Chris is the intelligent co-driver that speaks the languages of English, German, messaging, music, navigation, and more. With the buzz of autonomous automotive trends on the rise, German Autolabs is doing their part to create a safer and smarter mobility experience for everyone. Welcome to the stage, Patrick.
Good afternoon. Do we have the presentation? All right. Yeah. All right. Good afternoon. We are German Autolabs. We are building Chris, an intelligent assistant for the car, which helps you to live a connected life while you're in the car, in every car. So let's have a quick look at the problem we are solving. And we will need audio for this, otherwise I need to sing, which we want to avoid. Okay, I think it's not working. Video is not playing. All right. Good. All right. So let's look in text form. Actually, what are we doing with the presentation? the issue with videos and Macs. Suchst du Bildschirmeinstellungen, oder?
Ich brauche die Ansicht, wo ich die Präsentationsansicht links einstellen kann, also in der Folie generell.
Hier in Slideshow. Hier oben, Slideshow.
Ja, aber wir können nicht mehr einstellen, auf welchen Monitor das geht.
Ach so, nee, das ist hier.
Das ist also die generelle. Nee, das stimmt ja. Wir haben ja
okay, gut.
Ja, das geht ja da raus. Wir haben ja ein Bild. Das ist ja da, das ist eine Präsentationseinstellung.
Ja.
Ich habe jetzt hier nicht. Wissen Sie, was ich meine? Also in Ihrer. Wo ist das jetzt hier? Ah, da ist es. Ah, okay. So, jetzt machen wir mal Slideshow. Also dann.
Ja. Ja. All right, 3 minutes left. Okay, so let's have a quick look the problem we are trying to solve. And now the clicker is not working anymore. Oh well, but it should work with a button at least. Nee, das ist ja nicht mit Klicker. Das Ding geht einfach nicht weiter. Er ist festgefroren. Wie wäre es, wenn wir es an das Laptop ziehen und jemand anders zuerst machen?
Können wir so machen. Ich glaube, wir müssen den Laptop einfach mal neu starten. Speichern wir das mal. Ja. Mach mal neu starten. Ja.
Do you want to pull someone forward and we fix the laptop in the meantime?
Is it the laptop itself or is it?
I don't know.
You want to bring your laptop? So, So while we're getting set up, we're going to switch out a couple startups. The next one we have presenting is Inspirient. Our modern technology has created so much data, but not enough time. Can we extend time? Peter Thiel seems to think so, at least in terms of human longevity. But Inspirient is trying to solve the problem that we can better benefit from what time we do have and putting it to good use. This startup will do exactly that. It translates the key insights derived from your company's data so that work time is 90% more effective. This means that companies can focus less on data and invest more energy into delivering results.
So thank you very much for the kind introduction. My name is George Wittenberg. I'd like to talk today very, very briefly about discovery. So discovery as a topic is enticing because there's so many happy accidents that happens when you just go out there. Like, no, you go out there and try to discover India, but you discover America. Or a apple falls on your head and you discover physics. Or you leave your Petri dish somewhere in the lab and you discover antibiotics. And that's so intriguing that we at Inspirient, we are asking the question, so how can we replicate this discovery in the digital world? How can we leave a digital Petri dish somewhere and then just something miraculous happens? How do we get into the unknown? And it's not that you build your discovery ships out of blocks, but it's rather a question of thinking about, hey, there's a whole digital landscape out there that's kind of waiting for you to find the most interesting things out of it. And this is built out of data, of course. Right? So the question is, in this digital landscape, where are exactly the points that you should care about? Where are the sites, the interesting bits? Right? So we are saying at Inspirient, discovery is really the discovery of new insights in the landscape of your data. And that's only half the truth, because as you would know, everyone who's heard big data knows that this landscape is so huge that you can't possibly navigate it as a person. So here's the twist. This is the automated discovery of new insights in the landscape of your data, and this is what we're doing at Inspirient. At Inspirient, we're building an artificial intelligence that can ingest business data sets, tables, the things that you guys got in your inboxes as your Excel sheets, and will automatically scan that data for things that could be interesting for you, so you can actually think about results rather than busy yourselves with doing the analysis and the pivots and all the things that just waste your time. And since this is a demo, I'm actually going to show this to you. I was thinking hard and long about what could be a very valuable example, and this is the most valuable example that I could find. This is the data set from the US-American Environmental Protection Agency, in which they tested a couple of vehicles for emissions 3 years ago, right? And so a well-known German automaker is right now putting some $18 billion aside for saying, okay, let's deal with the fact that we didn't know that we were kind of the outlier in this. So what you can do with Inspirient is that you basically, you can take that data set, you can upload it into our system, say, start the analysis of this, and then depending on the size of the data, like the IA will go to work. After some, and I preloaded this, 45 minutes, you get something like this. So this is a selection of presentation slides that the AI generated directly based on the data. And I'm going to go directly to slide number 4 of these results, which the AI did automatically for me. And this is CO2 emissions over NOx, and the point up here is Volkswagen, right? And you don't have to be a data scientist, and you don't have to be a chemist to know that you don't want to be that point, right? And what we do as part of our AI is that we recommend other insights that might be valuable to you. So I go to the recommended insights down here at bottom right, and we say, hey, these are the top 10 outliers on the previous slides. Like, if you have in correlation, you might be interested, like, what are the other outliers? Say, hey, top 10, Volkswagen, Volkswagen, Volkswagen. At that point in time, if you're Martin Winterkorn, you do something, right? And this is the value that we provide. We do this in a very, very generic way. So, just to do this very quickly, this here, this is the data set of the Fukushima nuclear power plant of the sensor data, right? And so we can put this data set into our system, and without doing anything else, it will generate the analysis, making sense of the data, and saying, wow, that's the point in time when your power plant was blowing up, right? Or to make it a bit more applied to something that companies would want to do every day, this here's a data set from DB Schenker when they're shipping containers around the world. And we can put that into our system, not ask any questions, but just say, hey, let's make sense of that data. Here are the slides that the system produces automatically. And for instance, what you get is, well, you don't see the continents right now, but this is basically America on the one side, and this is Eurasia on the other side. This is the trip that your container takes through the world, and you kind of see where the temperature has been rising slightly above that, right? So this is something as a logistics company that you care about because you don't want to have your goods get hot, right? So you got a topic of automation in here. Stuff is happening automatically to your data, and you get to think about results rather than to think about analytics. So you got the obvious stuff of time and cost saving in here, right? But what I find most interesting in the context of artificial intelligence is that AI thinks differently than you, right? So let's reflect upon this. As a human, you got a certain knowledge about your business, and you got a certain intuition of what might be relevant for your business. But AI thinks differently. AI can scale to great data sets. So for everything else that is in your data, our AI will bring that to your attention, and you can think about that. And then, if we had been around maybe 4 years ago and say, hey, Martin, Winterkorn, there's something in that data, maybe you want to have an intuition and idea about doing something, maybe save you $18 billion. So, great thing about Inspirient is you can actually try it. There's someone from my team over here. So if you want to have a test drive of this yourself right here, talk to these guys over here, and you can just actually browse around in someone else's data if you'd like to. And other than that, thank you so very much for your attention. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Does anyone from the audience have a quick question? He only has time to take one today because he has another meeting after. Yes? Here you have the microphone, so go ahead.
Yeah, it's a competitive advantage to have the mic. Can you talk about how clean the data has to be in order for you to produce these slides?
Yeah, so that's actually a great question, right? Because in the general realm of business analytics, you have this problem of data cleansing, and you need clean data to run your algorithms. That is because you have different tools in the production chain of producing slides that you can put on the table of someone. But what we do is we just take imperfect data, say, hey, data is missing, whatnot, and we just add a sticker to the slide and a footnote saying, we did this analysis anyway on what data was available to us. And we actually leave it to the business guy in front of the screen or in the meeting to make up his own mind to say, well, is this good enough for my purposes? Or would I need something better? So actually we kind of sidestep the problem of data cleansing by just saying, if you care about this, maybe clean up your data afterwards. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Let's give German Autolabs another try. Let's see if we can get the... Okay.
Hello, hello. All right, the bad news is we'll try this until it works. Okay. Yeah, so as a reminder, we're building an intelligent assistant for the car. I'm Patrick Weissert. I'm a co-founder and the CPO, so the Chief Product Officer of German Autolabs. So let's have a quick look at the problem we're trying to solve, and hopefully it works this time. And it doesn't. That's just, yeah, we should. I don't have one, but I'm sure they do. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to go ahead? Yeah, you want to? Okay. Genau. Acting it. Maybe we just look at it this way. Geht auch nicht vorwärts, oder? Geht doch vorwärts, oder? Ja, nur spielt sie nach wie vor nicht ab. Aber er spielt es ja nicht ab, oder? Okay, machen wir so. Hey, okay, let's watch the video.
Hi, I'm Chris. Relax. Let me send this email and find a better way to the office.
So if you think this video is a joke, unfortunately it's not. And I'll have to probably go forward like this. 70% of drivers use their smartphone in the car. 25% of them actually write emails. 44% read text messages. And in decades, for the first time, the number of people dying in the car per miles driven is actually increasing. In the US, this has been dubbed the Snapchat effect. So here's our way how we want to approach solving it, and we'll have to pray again. But it works.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Brian. It's Monday. Are you going to the office?
Yes.
Great. This will take 24 minutes.
Please turn on the radio.
Playing Kiss FM. You have a new WhatsApp message from Sarah Rocca. Would you like to hear it?
Yes, please.
The message is, meet for lunch today? Do you want to reply?
Yes. Send? Cool, 12:30 at Soho House.
I got, cool, 12:30 at Soho House. Should I send this message?
Yes, please.
Done.
Chris, I'm running late. Please call Peter.
You have 3 contacts with the name Peter. Which Peter would you like to call? Peter Abraham, Peter Mayer, Peter Wolf. Okay, calling Peter Wolf. There's a traffic jam ahead, causing a 10-minute delay. You can save 5 minutes with an alternative route.
Okay, please take the alternative route.
Okay, please take the next left turn.
Chris, please play the Spotify Top 50.
Brian, we need to talk about your musical taste.
All right, so there's 3 ways how artificial intelligence can really help us solve this problem. The first and most obvious one is voice. Touch in the car is not a good user interface, no matter how big and how fancy your touch panel is. So sorry, Tesla drivers, it's simply not the right way to deal in the car. You'll need to look at the screen, you need to find the button, you need to press it, you need feedback if you actually press the right button, which in the car often goes wrong. That alone takes 3 seconds easily, better normally 5, and 5 seconds off the road with your eyes, a lot of things can happen. If you think voice for the car is a solved problem, it's also not true. We recently ran our Kickstarter campaign. One of our backers called me up. He was very keen whether this system works for his car. I asked him for the specs of his car. It turned out it was a 2017, this year bought car, a new model with the best infotainment system that this OEM had. It had a voice assistant, and he said he stopped using it. It's simply not working. And we're hearing that story over and over again. So voice for automotive is still a big growth area, and actually similar to how Gestoos earlier presented, it's very important to get into that market and be able to iterate fast and collect data, and that's what Chris will help us to do. The second big field where we need to be smart in the car is actually adapting the conversation to the context you're in while driving. It's very different if you're on an empty road at night or stuck in a traffic jam during the day, and you actually have the mental bandwidth to deal with emails being read to you, dictating things, consuming a Facebook stream, consuming any other media you might want to do. If you are on a motorway at high speed with dense traffic, it's a very different situation, and you shouldn't actually be interacting with the device at all. And so we're working on technologies which will identify the driving context from sensors, from other data, from real-time data, and actually adapt the interaction to that. And the last, but long and probably even most important one is actively reducing the cognitive load of the driver by making the services easier to consume. So here the example is you receive this invitation, like you saw in the video, for going for lunch. This is actually not one question. This is 10 questions, because you need to know, do I have time? Where do I want to go? How do I get there? How do I get back? How long will it take? How is the traffic? Will I be back in time, right? All of those questions, even if they are voice-based, it just doesn't make sense. You would be busy 3 to 5 minutes in the car, looking up your calendar, working out stuff. So you need actually a system that actually works out all these things for you, accesses your calendar, and proposes to you options. So it says, hey, I looked up and you're free, and do you want to meet at Soho House, like in the video? Or, hey, you're actually not free, should I propose to go tomorrow? Or you're not free, and should I move the meeting around? Right? So these are the 3 ways how we go about automotive intelligence and artificial intelligence in the car. We recently closed our Kickstarter campaign 10 days ago. We're planning to ship this device by the end of the year to the Kickstarter backers, and then it should be coming in Q1 next year to an online store near you. So thank you very much. Please get in touch, grab me here or give us a call or an email. We are very happy to engage. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for the audience, from the audience?
Yes.
We have a microphone on the floor, so just raise your hand. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'd be interested in the competitive edge as well. So why would I need an extra hardware device, and why wouldn't I use existing services in place, such as Siri or other Google products to control all what you've shown so far?
Yeah, so we get this question a lot. The reason is they simply don't do the job today. It's impossible to do what you saw in the car with Siri. There's a couple of issues. For example, voice in itself is not yet ready, which is why we're combining it with gesture, with display. You need to create a holistic experience. For voice to be ready to be a voice-only interface, that is still a couple of years to come. In general, gesture helps you a lot to sort of do things in the car you otherwise wouldn't do, for example, disambiguating contacts. In terms of the systems in the car, our advantage is we can iterate much faster, right? This is a system that we can update if we want on a daily basis and can make them better all the time. And of course, compared to a Google Assistant or a Siri, the other thing we do is we really focus on this automotive context. We focus on what we call the feet of safety. We focus on the context there, and we want to provide a better solution in those spaces than what you can get from your smartphone.
Okay. One more question, or yep.
Yeah.
Thank you for technology. So anyways, so how far off are you in the persona creation? I mean, the technology, how the persona works on the high AIs, and did you make it yourself or buy some technology from somewhere? And how long did it take to develop?
So it was a bit hard to understand, but I think your question was how far we are in the persona creation, right? So we started actually designing Chris last year in the summer. starting actually from persona type questions, from interaction models, and we've worked our way into a prototyping stage now, and as you saw, we want to be in the market by the end of this year.
Okay. Great, thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
We're going to now introduce our next startup, Paper Trail. So with paper trails, pencils, and pens, for a society of millennial-minded digital natives, this simply does not make sense. When we refer to old economy, we're not necessarily defining the age of experience, but we're pointing to the fact that, I'm sorry, pardon me. Oh, we're doing 20. Yeah, the next one was a different startup, but we can also start here. Okay. Sorry, there's been a change in order, so cool. It's okay. We have next up on stage 20 Billion Neurons, and they will be talking about the sentient ability of humans and innovating the deep learning potential of machines.
Cool, thank you very much. Okay, this works, perfect. So yes, so my name is Christian Thurau. I'm one of the founders of 20 Billion Neurons. And actually, we are a computer vision startup, so we are still quite new. We exist since last year, so about for 1 year. And I want to, here briefly really talk about the tech that we have developed over the last year. So when you look at computer vision, computer vision, there are a lot of, it's an important field for the last 60 years. And now object recognition, recognizing a cat or a dog in an image is mostly solved. So thanks to deep learning, which is cool. So, but this really doesn't have much to do with how humans actually see the world. So when you have a look at some of these examples, which are based on object recognition, for example, here, you see an image and a computer produced a tag like a horse is standing in the middle of the road, right? Obviously there's no horse, so this really doesn't work. So basically machines really cannot see the world as we do. And that is really a huge problem in robotics and a lot of other fields too. And a lot of people are working on that, so that's our mission. So the goal of the startup that we have is to teach machines to perceive the world like humans. So, so how come that object recognition, recognizing cats and dogs in images, is solved, but these more complex things, this more human-like vision is not yet solved? So there are a couple of reasons for that. So basically, we found over the last years that the combination of faster computers and GPUs and deep neural networks is actually a great and powerful tool in solving computer vision. But you always also need data for that, right? You usually need large labeled data. And that actually turns out to be a problem when you want to approach more human-like vision, because you just don't have the labeled data. So in the case of cats and dogs, it's very easy to label an image and say, okay, there's a cat in the image or a dog in the image. In the case of more human-like vision, this is much more complicated. So basically, how do you get data for solving computer vision so you can do other things apart from object recognition? So what we have done, we have developed a crowd acting platform, and this is the first of this kind. And to give you an idea how that looks like, because it's the first of this kind, so I've never seen that before, I guess. So basically what we do, we create certain labels of complex tasks and actions, and also human emotions or whatever, and we distribute these labels to crowd workers all around the world, and then we have them film what the label tells them. So for example, here we have a label calling, which is all falling like a rock, and then you can see the video for that. And this is actually great material for teaching a machine about how that really looks like. You cannot really find this kind of data anywhere else. So here's some other example, holding a notebook behind a bed frame. This sounds really simple, but it contains so much information about the world too. So basically that you can put objects behind other objects, that they can include each other and they're still not gone. So all these things that we take for granted, sort of this common sense knowledge about the world, this is something that machines don't know, and we would want to teach it to them. But obviously you can also go to human action recognition and emotion recognition. So we have a large data set here where you can see, for example, a person smiling, or a person getting angry, or a person drinking a cup of coffee. And we have hundreds of thousands of these videos to actually solve important topics and parts of computer vision with that. So So for example, we use that actually. So you saw a couple of interesting videos there, right? But actually, you can really solve important real-world problems with that. So one of the first tasks that we wanted to target is hand gesture recognition. And there we now crowdsourced, I think, the largest data set in the world for recognizing human hand gestures. And I want to show you a quick demo of this. So this is far from perfect. I mean, it took us about 8 weeks to gather the data, train the models, and then build the demo. So that was really something that went really quick. And so I can now thumbs up, swipe to left, swipe to right. I can zoom in with 2 fingers, I can zoom out with 2 fingers, something like drumming fingers, and which is a bit similar to that, shaking hands. So I think you get the point. What is really interesting about this demo is that this is also the first kind of this kind of demos, because usually in hand gesture recognition, you use a time-of-flight camera. So this is a depth sensor. So, and we are using a standard webcam at a laptop. So it also works with a smartphone camera. So this is really a step change in the kind of technology that you can use. And this is really a brute force approach in solving computer vision. So just take lots of data, deep neural networks, fast computers, and you can solve the problems with that. And I still have a lot of time left, so that's great. So yeah, so basically, as I said, so also thanks a lot to our team. So we basically built up the company over the last year. We are now a team of, in total, 18, but 16 of these are researchers and engineers. We are based in Toronto and Berlin, so we have a great team, I think, here. 2 of them are also here today, Valentin and Aaron. So if you can raise your hand. So if you have any questions about what we are doing, please feel free to ask them or me, of course. And a lot more to come, obviously. I mean, now we are also looking into the business side of things, of course. I mean, that's another important aspect of this. So we are not a research company. But yeah, so with that, I would like to close my presentation. Thank you.
Does our VC panel have a question first? No? And the audience?
How do you get your samples? So what is the incentive for people uploading videos to your platform?
Pardon?
What is the incentive for people helping you by uploading videos to your platform?
They are getting paid for this. So we pay about 10 to 12 cents per video right now. And we actually optimize the whole interface around that, the whole platform, so that it's fairly easy for people to generate this video data. So I think, yeah, it's a classical crowd worker platform.
Okay, and I guess one more question here.
Where do you get the labeling words? So the idea to what to teach the AI? All those letters above, you say shaking hands and such.
Yes.
Where do you get this? Where's the source for this? Do you have people typing it in, or is it?
Yeah. Basically, I mean, this hand gestures. So basically, we thought about them ourselves. So we came up with a total of 25 hand gestures, and then we made the first video ourselves. And this was the instruction video for our crowd workers. And then, based on that, we have generated about 110,000 of these videos. And the gestures, they are a bit randomly picked. So it's very easy for us to integrate new gestures. It takes about maybe 10 minutes to integrate a new gesture. And then you need 1 or 2 days to harvest enough data, I guess.
But the question is, you have a lot of videos to teach an AI to see what it is.
Yes.
But you need to write these things. So is it done automatically, or is there a human writing all those commands?
I mean the quality assurance.
The crowdsourced videos
yes.
You get.
Do you mean the quality assurance?
No, not the quality assurance, but just what to do on the video. I mean, you ask those to do something in the video.
Labeling there. So yes, that's true. So what we do is that we generate these labels. So it's the other way around, right? So we generate a label with a specific gesture or a specific action. For example, when we want to solve, or when we want to target human action recognition, recognizing if people are walking or running. We create a label with people working, and then people pick up their task. They say, okay, I should make a video where I'm walking, and then they film themselves doing that walk. That answered your question. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. We're going to now go on to our our next startup is also from Berlin, and basically they're solving the problem of paper trails. So the world has gone digital, but there's still a lot of old economy companies that are having a lot of record keeping, and Searchink is actually trying to make this process more efficient and saving time and money. And one of the co-founders, she even started one of her earlier startups in robotics. So let's hear what she has to say about Searchink. Very interesting.
Hello? Does it work? Yes. Fine. Okay, so thanks for having us here. My name is Sophie, and that's Harold, and together we are co-founders of Searchink. So we are in AI-based process optimization. What does this mean? So very straightforward. We go into big corporates, but also small companies. We look at their administrative processes, and we speed them up to 80%. Why are we doing this? What's the status quo? So in the 21st century, where it's all about digital document streams, fact is that the majority of information that has to be extracted out of document streams is done manually. I'll give you a few examples. So in order management is over 60%, claim management over 80%, expense management over 70%. So there's a hell of work to do for us, a huge potential for cost cutting, but of course also revenue increase. So what is it in concrete that we do? We either look at document streams or document pools. Because we are able to understand what the document is about, we are able to bring order in the stream or in the pool. We are able to classify and cluster. And in the next step, we are able to extract the most relevant information for further processing and analytics. A visual example how this looks like. This is the clustering process, and in the next step, the extraction of the most relevant information. Here is an example of our first customer. It was a document pool of already 30 million documents. Here we use already our own developed neural networks because we understood what the document is about, the extraction in the next step of the most relevant information, and the result is an API export, as you can see here. So we heard already today how difficult it is to get the access to trainings data for ground truthing. And there was one of our, we were very lucky because due to my previous business, we had access to over 900 million documents. A lot of them were annotated and labeled already. So it was luxury and El Dorado for deep learning. This robot I invented in 2004. It was quite early for AI. It was in hardware, but still we are not afraid of touching this space. And it gave us a huge advantage because tools like TensorFlow are open there and processing power is also available. We are lucky Google is supporting us with that, and we are, thanks if someone from Google is here. So it's a good time to talk about AI. This hall is full of people. And it's also a good time to talk about cloudification. Big corporates are not that afraid anymore of thinking about putting the data into the cloud, and still 80% of digital document streams in companies are still unstructured. So the potential is really, really big. Where are we looking at the moment? Okay, that's interesting. So you have to imagine bigger circles here. For some reason you can't see it. So in order management today, 250 billion euros are spent for exactly this manual transcription process. The blue bubbles are the ones where we think that the company is willing to pay us for the cost cutting. Right now we are focusing on smart process optimization, but in the next step, of course, we will also be able to bring predictions and analytics so the company is able to make better decisions. My co-founders team. So I'm very, very happy to be part of this brilliant team. Here's the brain behind the neural networks we are building. Together with Eric, they are really not only into research, but also into product shipment, which is super important, a painful discrepancy. But due to my previous business, that's something I'm also very excited about. And on the other side, we always call them our adults. We have one guy, Martin. He worked for big corporates, which is important for us because we want to enter this world, and Stefan is focusing on all the legal and financial stuff. We are happy to have Peter Reed from Vitruvian on our board, and also Michael Schmidt. He was working for Larry Page for 12 years, and he's helping us with the hiring process. And as you all know, it's a quite high challenge to really get the best talent. So we are hiring in the areas of HDR, computer vision, semantic ontology, of course, also developers. We are very, very keen on having conversations after our talk. We are searching for talent that wants to have a part in shaping this new era and wants to share this big vision with us. Also on the investment side, we have really great people. I'm one of the startups who is thankful for having VC brain power behind us. We learn from every conversation, and that's just something I can really recommend, to sit down together with them and listen to them. They see so many cases, and it's just a big honor to have their input every single time. I like this quote: "Would catapult it into the ranks of the most interesting startups in the world today." So hopefully we can get there, and we are, I think, both excited of being part of this new era.
So there's not much time left, so I have to go very quickly to the technical part of the presentation. We are kind of modeling the whole process from a document up to the customer database. So, and this starts with some classification. We can take optical classification, so if you have similar documents based on a visual level, like pre-printed forms or insurance forms. We can also use structured forms that have different layouts, like invoices, where you have very different layouts, but always the same kind of structure. We are clustering them together. We're doing then content extraction and recognition. If there is handwritten text on it, if it's printed, if it's all electronically, we can deal with this. And then also a very important part is mapping this data to the customer database. So for example, if you have offer requests, you have something that the customer writes on the sheet, but it needs to be translated into the language of the company. And that's the third big silo of our application. We are using different modules to solve the problems. Starts with object classification, layout analysis. We are very good in separating static from dynamic content, especially if you have pre-printed forms. Very often people write on top of something that's already in the pre-printed part. By subtracting this part from the document that we get, we're able to do a much better recognition. We have various semantic analysis methodologies behind. Starts from NLP, but also more in structured documents like pattern recognition. We are using OCR and HDR. The big difference from other approaches is that we are already using our semantic knowledge in the HDR and OCR process. Therefore, we know what we have to expect, and we have very higher confidence scores in the recognition. And our latest tool that we're currently developing is this writer independent classifier that will allow us that we remove the problem of the need of training different models for different writing styles. It's a big problem in handwritten recognition especially. And there we are making big progress, and that's the next big task. And as a last slide, so I have no 10 seconds left. There are two main use cases that we call. One is the river, the other one is the pond. So the one is that documents are constantly flowing in. So it's a one-shot recognition. You need to extract information and then decide immediately if you want to go with a shadow process or a manual process. And the other big use case is the pond type, where you have a big amount of data that you can continuously improve and do quality assurance. And with every user interaction, you can improve on the result. And these require very different approaches. So that's it, and I'm in time. Thank you.
And I just had to ask really quick, since so many companies are talking about how artificial intelligence will make everything more efficient, and a lot of people fear that this might take away jobs. Obviously not too many jobs, since you guys are still hiring for your own team. So what's your thoughts on this for the future?
Yep.
Or will products like yours change jobs or take away jobs from people?
We are seeing this more as an enhancement, not that much as a replacement. so that people do the work that they really want to do, not sitting in front of the PC and just typing stuff in, but really focusing on the work they should do.
I think we are in the next industrial revolution. There's no way to get out, and it gives us a chance to focus probably also on more human things and our humanity. And I think development is part of the evolution. We were reducing the working hours since centuries, and I think that's more a good than a bad thing.
Does the audience have a question? George.
Hello.
Yep.
I didn't quite catch whether you already have customers for that, but I would be interested in how much onboarding, customization, and training work you have when you want to onboard a new customer.
Yeah, so that's a question, a very good question. So first, yes, we have customers. We made already revenue last year around 600,000–700,000 euro. It was project-based, so not replicable, not scalable. Of course, we know that this is the only way, and after my robot company, I would never touch again something that is not scalable. So now we are in the phase where we just pick projects where we know that the market behind is huge enough, for example, auto management, that it makes sense to adapt the horizontal approach we have to one vertical. It takes us around 5 weeks. If it takes longer to adapt the technology to one vertical, we would not do it. We will focus in summer on the verticals we are now discussing. And yeah, for us, it's of course about scalability.
Yeah, so the important thing here is that we strongly believe in domain knowledge. So we don't think that a technology that has no domain knowledge can work. That's why it requires us some time to get into new verticals, because we need to understand this vertically. But then just adding new customers is a very straightforward process and doesn't require a lot of customization.
Okay, and we'll take one last question from the audience.
Talking about process automation, have you tried reading not documents but emails? If I have a lot of emails that has unstructured, so text mining, but can you turn it into concrete actions that can be either read by a human or directly executed through the computer?
Yeah, we are not focusing on free text, so we are using email, but only in processes that already have kind of formalized structure. So like an invoicing or an offering process where you have emails with attached PDFs or attached documents, that's something we possess. We're currently not focusing on really unstructured text like emails and really trying to do full NLP on it. That's just a part of our solution.
Thank you. Okay. Great. Thank you guys so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Please come speak with him after. Okay, so our last AI demo today is our second startup from Spain. They come from Alicante, and they are having robots. Basically, not only robots are learning from humans, but for our next generations, they believe that humans can also learn together with robots. Meet a creative machine inspired to improve the quality of life through playing and interacting with our children. Our startup is Asoci. And he brought a demo with him. Is it set up? Yes? Okay.
Maybe they're better. Okay. The sound. And this one. Hello? Hello, everyone. We are Aisoy Robotics. We create emotional robots for kids, which are changing the way they are playing, learning, and improving the quality of life. Today, we are seeing that many people are worried about artificial intelligence and what will happen in the future with it, and many of them are searching for solutions for our needs. We are worried about education and how to prepare our children for this future. And we think that the best way to prepare them is to improve their capabilities and develop their skills and abilities using emotions. This is the reason because we have created this robot. It's called Aisoy One Kit. That is the first emotional robot for education in the world. It means that it's emotional and it's able to create an affective link between the robot and the user. That is better for creating a better engagement experience. It means that it's a smart robot that have the possibility to make their own decisions, and they can learn and adapt to the kids. And it means that its experience stimulates their creativity through playing. And it means to build a rich experience around the robot. It means an ecosystem with compatible devices or more contents, taking in mind the development of the children. And for the first time, we have included in the robot a special system focused in the development of the multiple intelligence of the child. We call this system mentor because it tries to propose the best contents for its kid. Well, let me introduce you Aisoy Kit.
Hello, Jose. I'm so sleepy. Can you scratch my head? Wow, so much people. Hello, everybody. I'm an Aisoy robot, your social and educational friend. I'm a very smart robot powered by artificial intelligence algorithms. My mission is to make you happier and teach children through playing games. You should know I'm a pro playing tic-tac-toe and trivia. I know so many games we can play too. I'm an emotional robot. Depending on how you treat me, I could get sad. You can use me to learn coding using, for example, Scratch. Usually I get surprised watching how fast you progress. Or even happy if you make me feel good, for instance playing with me. When I am happy I enjoy dancing. Check my flow. Amazing. Don't you think so? I can understand you and have a conversation, feel when someone touches me, and even see you with my camera. You could say I'm a gossip, but the thing is that I love meeting new people. Wow, thanks to my camera I see there is a lot of people in here. I'm getting nervous. Sorry, but I'm quite shy, you know? I love what you call in Earth music. I wish that would exist in my planet, the sushi. You can send me your preferred music, and I will play it for you. I love listening music with you. If you hold and rise me, I can feel that I can fly. Why did you stop? Well, maybe you don't want to watch me flying. As you have already seen, I can move using my servo motors, play music and sounds, and show emotions using my belly and mouth. I spent a very good time with you. I'm sure we will be very, very good friends. See you soon.
Well, this is Aisoy 1. We have developed a platform around this device with several engines. The most important is the emotional engine. That's is the core of the whole platform. And we put this engine in the service of other developers or manufacturers to build an ecosystem around the robot. Our community is growing day by day. We have more than 3,000 users, mainly in Spain, France, and US. And in the next year, we stand to EU-key probably. I would like to show a video for showing how to interact the robot with kids in a real context. Well, and the last thing I would like to say is that we believe that education is not possible without emotion. Thank you so much.